In the early 19th century, a Virginia plantation operated like a self-contained town. Without modern supply chains, survival meant extracting and producing almost everything consumed straight from the land. Matilda Shepherd managed one of these vast operations in Smith County, Virginia, while raising 16 children. Her husband, a doctor named Absalom Young, believed it was morally wrong for one human being to own another, so Matilda ran the domestic side of this massive estate entirely without slave labor. Because Absalom frequently traveled long distances to see patients, Matilda served as the primary physician for her own household. She foraged the surrounding woods, gathering specific herbs to create natural remedies and handle the daily medical crises of her 16 children. This image shows the immense open hearth fireplace where Matilda prepared all the family's meals. She hauled heavy cast-iron kettles onto these suspended chains, managed the intense heat of the open flames, and tended to a long row of baking ovens lined up across the floor. This photograph of a traditional spinning wheel illustrates the physical endurance required to clothe 18 people. Matilda spun the thread, dyed her yarn with those same gathered herbs, and hand-stitched every piece of clothing and household linen with beautiful, precise stitches. Matilda operated an essential economic engine, maintaining complete physical and logistical control over her entire household. Maintaining that control required extreme physical grit. When her son was severely injured in a wagon accident while Absalom was away, Matilda navigated the black of night through thick woods to reach him. 2 days later, she gave birth to her youngest daughter, Sarah. That stability ended when Absalom contracted a fatal case of pneumonia. Before he died, he gave Matilda a staggering mandate: take all 16 children, leave their home in Virginia, and cross the continent to Utah. He demanded this for their safety. As Mormons, he knew the family would face severe persecution in almost every part of the country except the Utah Territory. The master of a localized, self-reliant life was suddenly tasked with moving a small village across an unforgiving continent to fulfill her husband's final request. To execute this promise, Matilda had to liquidate the 1,600-acre estate she had spent her life cultivating. But local buyers weaponized her faith against her. They refused to pay fair market value, forcing her into a devastating fire sale. This diagram illustrates the scale of that loss. Matilda was forced to sell the entire 1,600-acre property for a total of merely $500 or $600. With her generational wealth erased, the family boarded a train, trading their familiar agrarian fields for an industrialized journey west. During a stop in St. Louis, Matilda purchased her first cook stove, like the one shown here. It marked a transition away from her open-heart life in Virginia toward a more modern, mobile existence. Following her convictions required more than physical endurance. It demanded the total accepted sacrifice of her family's accumulated financial foundation. When the family finally arrived in Salt Lake City, they expected to find a stable sanctuary after sacrificing everything they owned. Instead, they found a settlement under siege. Millions of black Mormon crickets covered the ground, devouring every crop in sight. The sight of this infestation broke the resolve of many newer converts. Some families immediately boarded the next train east to return to their former homes. Matilda remained. Eventually, massive flocks of seagulls arrived, consuming the crickets until the plague was eradicated and the crops were saved. Surviving this introduction to the territory solidified her transition. The external chaos of the West could not break the internal resilience she had already forged in Virginia. Matilda successfully transplanted her family to Payson and later Fairview, Utah. They spent years navigating frontier hardships and the constant fear of conflict with local tribes. She successfully raised her children and lived until June of 1892, passing away in Mesa, Arizona, where she was survived by a vast posterity. The long-term survival of these frontier settlements depended on the domestic management Matilda mastered, the constant manual production of food, medicine, and clothing for a growing family in a high-stakes environment. Matilda Shepherd's legacy is found in the persistence required to ensure 16 children survived to build homes of their own. She paid the cost of her conviction in quiet, unseen resilience, ensuring her family took root in a new land.